Hey guys, John here. So we've done some videos where we're talking about routing the outputs of the drums from Avenger into our DAW. We've done that in FL Studio, we've done that in Bitwig, but I don't think we've talked enough or dive deep enough to say why we should do this, what's the workflow behind it, how do we get the best of Avenger and the best of our DAW and bridge that gap. So that's what this video is going to be concentrating on. So this template I've set up in a certain way where I think it's really cool because we can do that. We can get the cool stuff of Avenger and the cool stuff of our DAW and interchange between them pretty seamlessly. Now, the first reason I wanted to do this was listening to the drum kits that Avenger comes with the different expansions. They sound really good. There's cool drum grooves that come with it. So how do we use that in our DAW to incorporate that in our workflow? That was kind of the first thing that sold me. I'm like, I need to figure out a workflow that works for me, bring this into my DAW and be able to use all these drum kits. Because with the different expansions, there are different genres, and the different genres come with different kits that match that genre. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? If we're doing any type of EDM, or maybe we're specifically concentrating on techno or synthwave, whatever it is, we have those drum kits to match that because drums are a very important part of any type of genre, obviously that has drums, to kind of match the sound that we're going for. So this session here is set up in the way that this blue guy over here is just an instance of Avenger that only deals with drums, nothing else, just with drums, and we have 4 kicks here. So if we double click this and load up Avenger, we can see we have our drums tab, and our sequencer is going to be off, and we press play. It's just 4 kicks, and it's nice for me to set it up that way because I have 4 kicks to keep time. I can play some other stuff over it, add to the drums, remove stuff, whatever it is I want to do. It's a good starting point. So we have this here. Now, the concept is that this drum sequencer is off, so we can go in here and say maybe we want to add some snares to it, so we have something kind of like that. And we can build our entire drum grooves that way. Maybe that's something we're more used to. And then we can add other stuff here with the different sounds that come with it, obviously, right? That's kind of a cool concept. And they all go down to these faders. All right, so the kick goes to the kick and the snare goes to the snare, so on and so forth, which makes it kind of nice because we can go to our snare and maybe we have some fancy compressors, EQs, whatever it is that we want to use on this, then we can go to that exact fader and then put it on our insert and we can do it that way. That's kind of cool. Or we can say, I like my drums here, but I have a very specific reverb that I want to use on my drums, and we have that set up as a send in our session. So we just grab our snare and we route it to our reverb. Obviously, that's a lot of reverb, but just an example. So it's easy to do it that way. Or let's say you're like, I like Avengers AA reverb. Maybe I want to put that just on this snare right here. So we go to our plus, and then we go to our send effects AA reverb, and then maybe give as much as we want. So this is a way to use this reverb or the one that's inside Avenger, or we can use it on Ascend. So that was a really cool thing. I'm like, we can actually do this. We can integrate the effects that come with Avenger, or we can do that with our DAW, or we can do it both. We can put this reverb on, and we can also send this to that as well. Not sure why, but if you want to, that's the possibility to do that. So the next one, with all the different expansions and drum kits that you get, you also get really cool grooves as well. So if we go to our drum sequencer, we see this groove. Now, if we go back to our piano roll and let's say we turn these or remove these here, let's give this 2 bars of time, something like that. Come back to Avenger, turn on a drum sequencer and press play. So now we're actually using this groove, and I was like, this is cool. So I just turned the sequencer on, and I have this groove that I can use for whatever reason. Now, one thing that also came across my mind, I was like, well, what if I want this groove here with all the velocity, the little offbeat, onbeat kind of things, just the intricacy of this pattern? What if I want this inside of my piano roll, and then from there I can maybe add to it, I can take it away, I can build up to it, kind of something like that. Then you just go and you export the drum groove to a MIDI file and bring that right into your piano roll, and boom, there you go. You have it in there, and then you can just work from there. So not only can you use the grooves, the drum kits, the effects for Avenger and for your DAW, that's a cool workflow as well. And one of the last ones I do want to leave you with after we all got that set up is that there's so many different drum kits, and we can just change through those as we go through different stuff. So for example, if we turn off our drum sequencer, we go back to this guy and maybe bring this guy here. I don't know, maybe like 3 kicks. Let's do something kind of like that. Actually, you know what? Let's go 1, 2, let's do maybe something kind of like this, like we had before. Maybe put a snare on it. Okay, for now, let's kind of turn off that reverb because we don't really need it. So there's all these different drum grooves, right? So here we're using the CyberKit 1. Now we have our drum groove laid out. Now what if we want to just switch drum kits really quick? We like what we did, and let's just listen to see what it sounds like. So this is that concept is saying we have all our drums done, we have them all written out, and maybe we just want to see what it sounds like with a different drum kit, and we just go here and select it and hit left or right or really or click on it or whatever you want to do, and just select that drum kit and kind of do it that way. So that's kind of the cool thing, right? We have Avenger, we have all the effects in there that we can use if we want to, or we can use our DAW, or we can use it at the same time. We can use it as the sequencer built in here. We can use this workflow if we'd like to, or we can export that, bring that into our piano roll, and vice versa. So it's super flexible, and that's kind of the main reasons I wanted to incorporate this type of workflow. So if you already do this, that's awesome. That, you know, if you have a slightly different way, I'd love to hear how you do it. This is the way I set it up to the point where it kind of makes most sense for me. And the last thing that really kind of sold me on this is in the beginning of my entire synthesis journey, the whole concept was pick one synthesizer, stick with that one, and just master that one, right? Master of one, whole jack of trades thing, right? So that never worked for me. I would pick a synthesizer, I'd stick with it for like a month, I'd do that challenge, right? Make 3 patches every day. By the end of that month, I was so bored of that synthesizer that I had to go to the next one. So I would do a month in Harmor, and I got bored of it, and I go to Citrus. I do a month in that one, I do another one, another FL Synth, and branch off from those to other synthesizers, right? And then after a while, I would circle back to Harmor, and I was like, this one's so exciting. So they're always so new. That worked for me. It might not work for you, but there's only two synthesizers that really never bored or made me feel bored at all. One of those was Pigments, and the other one was Avenger 2. So that's kind of why I was like, well, if I'm using Avenger 2 as my drum machine as well to my main sound design, it kind of makes sense because you know this thing's so in and out that why not use it as your drum machine if it has the capability to do so, and if it has a capability to do all the crazy things that you want it to do inside your DAW or inside the synth, or you can do stuff as well as modulation here with a mod matrix and automation and yeah, modulation, all that crazy stuff. You can do all those crazy different things. So imagine having all the possibilities of Avengers workflow and their drums and your DAW at the same time. It's kind of a really cool workflow with all the drum kits that you get for each different expansion. So that's kind of the reason I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about that. It's cool to know how we do something, but it's also very cool to know why we do something and what's the workflow, what's the idea behind it. And yeah, that's kind of the thing there. And yeah, also keep in mind you can route some of the different drums to different effects and so on and so forth. You probably already know that, but that just crossed my mind there. So there's a lot of possibilities inside Avenger and your DAW. So definitely use them. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next one.